Have you ever wondered if something you believe is helping you could actually be quietly hurting you? By the time many of us reach our 70s, we're told that certain choices will keep us safe, comfortable, and cared for. But here's the truth. No one really says out loud, some of those very decisions can slowly steal your independence, weaken your health, and even leave you more isolated than ever before. Today I'm going to share one of the hardest lessons I've learned and why moving into a nursing home, which I thought was the right step, became one of my deepest regrets. These are 6 hard truths most seniors never hear until it's too late, and they may completely change the way you think about the future. Before we begin, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching this video from, and what time of day is it for you? Drop your answer in the comments below. I always look forward to reading them. And if this message resonates with you, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If it doesn't, then just hit the like button. It still helps us reach more people like you. Across America, many families believe that moving into a nursing home is the safest and most practical choice for their aging parents. The reasoning often sounds simple and reassuring. You will have professional care, regular meals, a safe environment, and no more daily chores to worry about. Children feel comforted thinking their parents will be protected, and parents often agree because they do not want to burden their loved ones with constant responsibility. At first, this decision feels almost logical, like a solution that eases stress for everyone involved. Yet when you look closer, the picture becomes more complicated. Older adults who enter nursing homes often discover that what seemed like comfort is actually the loss of small freedoms they once valued. A fixed schedule replaces personal choice, and the quiet independence of daily life is exchanged for institutional routines. Science shows that these changes affect not only emotional well-being, but also physical health. When you stop cooking your meals, walking through your own hallway, or managing small tasks around the house, your body and mind lose stimulation that keeps them strong. Consider a common example. A retired teacher who once enjoyed preparing her own breakfast and reading the newspaper at her kitchen table suddenly finds herself waiting for meals delivered at specific times. That shift may sound minor, but it can trigger feelings of dependency, a slow decline in muscle use, and a subtle loss of purpose. Over months, these effects accumulate, leaving many seniors surprised at how quickly their health and spirit can change. This is why the decision is far more than simply choosing a new address. It is a transformation of lifestyle identity and daily rhythm. If you are weighing this choice, pause and ask yourself, do you still have the ability to remain at home with support, or would outside help allow you to keep your independence longer? Aging in place with the right adjustments, such as hiring part-time assistants, joining senior community programs, or setting up safety modifications in your house, can preserve both dignity and health. The hope to hold on to your independence is still within reach, but only if you recognize that moving into a nursing home changes far more than where you sleep at night. Regret 1. Loss of independence. For most Americans, independence is more than a word. It is a way of life, of value woven deeply into our culture. Many older adults grew up believing that driving their own car, shopping for groceries, tending the garden, or even deciding what time to eat dinner were everyday freedoms that defined who they were. These routines may have seemed small, but they carried enormous meaning because they gave structure, purpose, and control over daily life. When someone moves into a nursing home, those freedoms begin to slip away almost immediately. Meals are served at scheduled times, lights are turned out at fixed hours, and even the simple desire to take a walk outside often requires permission or assistance. What used to be ordinary decisions, when to rise in the morning, what to wear for the day, or how to spend an afternoon, suddenly feel like privileges instead of rights. Imagine waking up one morning wanting to settle into your favorite recliner with a book, only to realize that chair is gone, replaced by institutional furniture in a room that does not feel like your own. Psychologists explain that the loss of independence can accelerate feelings of helplessness and depression in older adults. Our brains thrive on choice and personal control, And research from the National Institute on Aging shows that seniors who maintain decision-making power often experience better mental health and slower physical decline. Without that daily sense of agency, motivation drops, muscles weaken, and confidence fades more quickly than expected. This is why losing independence is not just an emotional challenge, it is a health risk. For example, when you no longer cook, you may lose both the activity of standing and preparing meals, and the creative stimulation of planning what to eat. When you are told exactly when to sleep, your natural rhythms can become disrupted, leading to poorer rest and less energy the next day. Over time, these seemingly small adjustments reshape both body and spirit. If you find yourself considering a nursing home, think carefully about how much independence you are willing to surrender. Ask whether there are alternatives that allow you to stay engaged in everyday choices. Could you continue living at home with the help of part-time caregivers? Would joining a senior community center provide companionship without giving up your freedom? Even modest changes like arranging grocery delivery while still choosing your own meals can preserve a sense of control. The truth is, independence is not something we value only in youth. It remains essential for dignity, health, and happiness throughout life. Once it is given up, it is very difficult to reclaim. But with careful planning and honest conversations with your family, you can protect the freedoms that matter most. Remember, independence does not have to disappear overnight. With the right support, you can hold on to the choices that make life truly yours. Regret 2, feeling forgotten. One of the most painful discoveries for many older adults in nursing homes is realizing how quickly the outside world moves on without them. At first, children and grandchildren promise frequent visits, and in the beginning, those promises are often kept. There are weekly check-ins, Sunday afternoon visits, and phone calls that bring comfort. But as time passes, life gets busy, schedules change, and those visits begin to fade. The pattern is familiar across America, especially during the holidays. Families speak with genuine intention about Thanksgiving dinners, together Christmas celebrations, or New Year's visits. But when last-minute plans shift, the absence is felt even more deeply. If you have ever walked through a common room in a nursing home, you may have seen a line of residents quietly watching the door, waiting for someone familiar to appear. Each time footsteps echo down the hallway, there is a moment of hope followed by disappointment when the visitor belongs to someone else. Psychologists call this the out-of-sight, out-of-mind effect, and it is particularly strong for seniors no longer present in everyday family life. The absence does not necessarily mean a lack of love, but the emotional weight feels just as heavy. From a health perspective, loneliness is not a minor inconvenience. Studies from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show that prolonged social isolation can increase the risk of depression, memory decline, high blood pressure, and even heart disease. For many seniors, the feeling of being forgotten triggers a slow downward spiral. You stop asking for visits because you do not want to be a burden, and in return, the silence grows longer. Over time, you may begin to feel invisible, as though your needs no longer matter. I once met a woman named Margaret who told me she used to host Thanksgiving dinner every year for her family. The smell of roasted turkey, the laughter of grandchildren, and the warmth of tradition filled her home. After moving into a nursing home, she found herself eating a holiday meal from a tray, waiting for family that never arrived. Her story is not unique, and that is what makes it so heartbreaking. The loss is not only about missing a visit, it is about losing a sense of belonging. If you are considering a nursing home, it is important to prepare for this reality. Encourage your family to set realistic schedules rather than vague promises, and ask for video calls or regular phone check-ins when visits are not possible. Advocate for yourself by joining group activities inside the facility, building friendships with other residents, and staying connected to your community through faith groups, clubs, or local organizations. These steps do not fully replace family presence, but they help fill the silence with connection. The truth is, being forgotten is one of the hardest experiences of aging. Yet it does not have to define your final chapters. With honest conversations, creative use of technology, and a commitment to staying engaged, you can continue to nurture relationships and protect your emotional well-being. Even if the visits come less often, your voice, your story, and your presence still matter more than you may realize. Regret 3. Losing a sense of purpose. At home, life often feels meaningful because of the little routines we create for ourselves each day. Brewing a fresh cup of coffee in the morning, watering the plants by the porch, or taking a familiar walk around the block may not seem significant, but these activities quietly reinforce that we still have control, responsibility, and something to look forward to. For older adults, these simple habits anchor the day, providing a sense of rhythm that protects both mental and physical health. Inside a nursing home, however, much of that daily structure is taken away. Meals arrive without effort, laundry is handled by staff, and cleaning is no longer required. At first, this might sound like a blessing, a welcome relief after decades of household duties. Yet over time, the absence of these responsibilities can leave long, empty hours with little to accomplish. Human beings are wired to thrive on purpose, and when that purpose disappears, the days begin to feel stretched, colorless, and difficult to endure. I remember meeting George, an 84-year-old former carpenter, who once spent countless hours in his garage building furniture and fixing broken things. His hands had shaped wood into something useful and beautiful for decades. After moving into a nursing home, George found himself without tools, without projects, and without the space to create. "I feel useless," he told me one afternoon, staring down at hands that now rested idle in his lap. His words carried the weight of loss, not just of a hobby, but of identity. Medical research supports what George and many others experience. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that older adults who lose a sense of purpose often experience faster cognitive decline, higher rates of depression, and even a shorter lifespan. Purpose keeps the brain active, the heart engaged, and the body willing to move. When there is nothing to care for or contribute to the motivation to stay strong, fades and physical health begins to follow the same downward path. If you are facing this challenge, remember that purpose does not always come from grand achievements. It can be as simple as reading to a grandchild over a video call, joining a group to share stories, or helping a neighbor with advice drawn from a lifetime of experience. Volunteering, creative hobbies, or even caring for a plant can reignite the spark of usefulness. The key is not what you do, but how it makes you feel alive. Losing a sense of purpose is a painful regret many seniors face, yet it is not inevitable. By actively seeking small ways to remain engaged, you can preserve your dignity, strengthen your health, and keep the light of meaning burning brightly in your later years. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. For many older adults, one of the most startling changes after moving into a nursing home is how quickly physical strength seems to disappear. At-home daily routines like grocery shopping, cooking, and tidying up may have felt like chores, but in reality, they kept the body moving, the joints flexible, and the muscles engaged. Once those activities are taken away, the body quietly begins to weaken, and the decline often comes faster than anyone anticipates. I recall the story of Alice, an 81-year-old woman who moved into a nursing facility full of determination. She insisted she would not slow down simply because of her age. In her first week, she walked the halls each day, greeting staff and chatting with neighbors. But slowly the walks grew shorter. She started using a walker for stability, and before long, she relied on a wheelchair. "I feel like I aged 10 years in just a few months," she told me, her voice filled with quiet disbelief. Her story is echoed by countless seniors who find that convenience often comes at the cost of strength. The science behind this decline is well established. Muscles operate on a principle often summarized as use it or lose it. Without regular movement, muscle fibers shrink, coordination weakens, and balance becomes less reliable. Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that even 2 weeks of reduced activity can cause measurable losses in strength and endurance among older adults. When the nursing home environment encourages sitting for long hours and doing less for oneself, the process speeds up dramatically. Culturally, many Americans take pride in staying active well into retirement. Gardening, walking the neighborhood, or attending senior yoga classes are more than hobbies. They are protective habits that sustain independence. In a nursing home, however, those activities often fade. Safety rules, lack of space, and over-reliance on assistance make it harder to maintain the active lifestyle that once kept aging at bay. The result is a rapid decline that feels unfair, almost as if time has accelerated overnight. If you are considering this path, it is crucial to recognize that movement is medicine. Even small daily efforts, standing to fold laundry, stretching for 10 minutes, or taking a slow walk down the hall, help preserve mobility. For those already in a facility, seek out physical therapy programs, join group exercise sessions, or advocate for opportunities to stay active. The goal is not athletic achievement, but maintaining the strength required to rise from a chair walk safely to the dining room and live without constant dependence. Losing health more quickly than expected is a painful regret, but it does not have to be permanent. With determination, creativity, and support, older adults can slow the decline, reclaim energy, and continue to enjoy the dignity of movement. Your body responds to every effort, no matter how small, and the choice to stay active can still shape your future in powerful ways. Regret 5. Losing privacy and dignity. One of the most overlooked changes after moving into a nursing home is the loss of privacy that so many Americans value deeply. At home, you can close your bedroom door, enjoy silence if you choose, and decide when and how to handle personal routines. That personal space is not only comforting, it is tied to a sense of identity and control. When that freedom disappears, the emotional impact can be heavier than most families expect. In nursing homes, privacy often becomes a luxury. Rooms are shared with strangers, staff members enter without much warning, and even simple needs like taking a shower or using the restroom may require waiting for assistance. For someone who has managed these routines independently for decades, the adjustment can feel intrusive and unsettling. Imagine being used to your own bathroom for 70 years, then suddenly needing to push a call button and hope someone arrives in time. That loss of autonomy can weigh on both dignity and peace of mind. American culture places high importance on personal space. Psychologists note that when older adults lose this stress, hormones rise, sleep becomes less restful, and anxiety increases. Sharing a room with a difficult roommate compounds the problem. I once heard from a resident who said her roommate snored loudly, left the television on through the night, and sometimes became confused or restless, keeping her awake. Weeks of poor sleep left her exhausted, irritable, and emotionally fragile. These constant small stressors create a sense of being treated not as an individual with preferences, but as just another patient in a system. Medical research confirms the connection. Studies from the Journal of Gerontology reveal that a loss of privacy and control in daily life often leads to higher rates of depression, faster cognitive decline, and reduced overall quality of life. In other words, privacy is not just a comfort, it is essential for mental and physical health. If you or your loved ones are considering a nursing home, it is important to ask specific questions before moving in. Will you have a private room or will you share? How often do staff enter without knocking? What choices do residents have in daily routines? These details matter more than they may seem, and if you are already in such a setting, remember there are still ways to protect dignity. Advocate for small boundaries such as asking staff to wait for a response before entering or personalizing your space with familiar items that reflect your identity. If possible, request a quieter roommate or explore facilities that offer single rooms. Small steps can help restore a sense of individuality, even in a structured environment. Losing privacy and dignity is a painful regret for many seniors, but it does not have to define the rest of life. By speaking up, setting boundaries, and finding ways to maintain personal identity, you can preserve not just comfort, but also self-respect. Your voice still matters, and your sense of self is worth protecting every single day. Regret 6. Harder to leave than you. Image many older adults enter a nursing home with the thought that it will be temporary, almost like a trial period. The idea feels simple at first. If it works, you stay. If it does not, you go back home. But the reality is far more complicated, and once the move is made, returning to the life you knew before often proves much harder than expected. One of the first challenges is that home itself may no longer be waiting. Houses left empty become difficult to maintain. Belongings are sold or donated, and sometimes children make decisions about the property without realizing the emotional impact. What was once your safe place, filled with familiar furniture and memories, may no longer exist in the same way. Walking back into that space after months away can feel less like returning home and more like stepping into a stranger's house. Physical decline adds another layer of difficulty. In nursing homes, daily tasks are handled for you. Meals prepared, laundry folded, and assistance readily available. Over time, the body adapts to doing less. Muscles weaken, balance becomes less reliable, and energy levels fall. Within just a few months, many residents discover they no longer feel confident managing stairs, cooking meals, or even walking safely through their old neighborhoods. What began as a temporary stay suddenly turns into a permanent dependency. I remember speaking with a gentleman who entered a facility after surgery, planning only a short recovery. He assumed he would go home as soon as he regained strength. But after 6 months, his house had been rented out, his car sold, and his health had slipped more than he realized. His children, though well-meaning, urged him to remain where care was available. "I feel trapped," he admitted, his voice filled with resignation. His experience reflects what countless others discover. Going in is easy, but getting out can be nearly impossible. Financial strain often makes the decision final. Nursing home costs are high, and savings can be drained quickly. Once assets are reduced or homes are sold to cover expenses, options shrink. Add in the emotional weight of family pressure. Children fearing for safety, doctors recommending continued care, and the path back home grows narrower every day. If you are considering this decision, remember that entering a nursing home is not just a trial. It is a commitment that can be very hard to reverse. Ask yourself whether alternatives like in-home care, adult day programs, or assisted living might give you the support you need without closing the door to independence. Have open conversations with family about what you truly want and put plans in writing so your wishes remain clear. The lesson is sobering but vital. Moving in may feel like the easiest solution, but moving out is rarely simple. Still, with careful planning, honest dialogue, and awareness of what you might lose, you can protect your freedom for as long as possible. Your future should remain in your hands, and recognizing this truth is the first step toward making choices that honor your independence. Not every nursing home is harmful, and for some people, the level of medical attention they provide is absolutely necessary. Still, it is important to recognize the trade-offs before making such a life-altering decision. Convenience and safety may come at the expense of independence, privacy, and emotional well-being, which are equally vital for healthy aging. In America, there are many alternatives worth exploring. In-home care allows you to remain in your familiar space while receiving support tailored to your needs. Assisted living communities provide meals, housekeeping, and social activities while still offering more autonomy than traditional nursing homes. Some families choose part-time caregivers who stop by for a few hours each day, giving older adults help without removing their freedom. Senior community centers, faith-based groups, and neighborhood programs also provide social connection and purpose without uprooting your entire lifestyle. Experts often recommend the concept of aging in place, which means preparing your home and routines to support you as you grow older. This can involve simple adjustments, such as grab bars in the bathroom, better lighting for safety, or planning finances to cover part-time assistance. By thinking ahead, you can avoid sudden decisions made under stress and protect both your health and independence. The lesson here is clear: start planning early. Talk openly with your family about your preferences, explore available services in your area, and make a realistic plan for housing, healthcare, and financial stability. With preparation and awareness, you can shape your later years around dignity, connection, and personal choice, holding on to what matters most while still receiving the support you need. Looking back, I do not regret growing older because age brings wisdom, perspective, and appreciation for life's simplest joys. What I do regret, however, is handing over too many decisions about my own future to others without fully realizing the consequences. When you give away that control too quickly, you may find yourself living in ways that feel safe but not truly fulfilling. That is why it is so important to protect your freedom, your privacy, and your sense of purpose for as long as you possibly can. Research shows that older adults who remain active in their own choices, whether about daily routines, living arrangements, or hobbies, tend to experience better health outcomes and greater emotional well-being. Independence is not just a cultural value, it is a form of medicine for the spirit and the body. So before choosing the path that seems easiest for your family, pause and ask what is truly best for you. There are always alternatives, but they require honest conversations, thoughtful planning, and the courage to speak up about your wishes. Remember, your voice matters and your life deserves to reflect your values, not just the convenience of others. I would love to hear your thoughts. Share your own story in the comments, let us know what you have learned, and consider subscribing so we can continue this journey together. Picture yourself tomorrow morning, sunlight pouring across the porch, hands wrapped around a warm cup of coffee you made yourself. Those small, meaningful moments are worth protecting, and with the right choices, they can remain yours for many years to come.